Hi, welcome to Patrick Air Force Base's Tobacco Cessation program. My name is Sergeant Groner. I work in the pharmacy, and I've been teaching this since 2003. This course right here will help you to figure out how to quit smoking or chewing. It'll help you identify why we do it, and to help you kind of go through the little small steps that it takes to quit, and then the smaller steps it takes to continue to not smoke down the road. Okay, so the three people that we have right now, what brands of cigarettes do you smoke?
L&M.
L&M? Okay, is that a menthol or a plain?
Light.
A light? Okay, sir, how about you?
No, I'm smoking Bugler now.
Okay, is that a menthol or
No, it's
plain?
regular.
Okay, how about you, sir?
I just switched to ultralights, trying to cut it down a little.
From what before?
From before it was full strength.
Full strength, okay. What we have to think about when we're dealing with a cigarette, this is their standard cigarette looking. There's other ones that have like Virginia Slims, the real skinny ones. But in general, most cigarettes are built the same way. We have our filter at the end, and then our actual paper with the cigarette and the tobacco inside, right? Now, when you're smoking an ultralight, which is what you said you switched to, do you know why that cigarette's easier or better for you?
There's just there's more filter.
Okay, there's more holes in the filter, right? The holes in the filter are supposed to let the oxygen burn off the bad stuff, so it goes into the air, and it keeps the bad stuff from going into your chest, right? That's the theory anyway. Does anybody know why that doesn't always work out? Where do we hold our cigarette?
At the filter.
Right, so if you're holding it at the filter, then you're actually plugging all the holes that it has in there, and you're actually getting more stuff inside. So it's actually worse to smoke an ultralight or a light than it is to smoke a normal one if you're holding the filter. No one smokes a menthol, so I don't have to go through that. But anyway, the concept of a cigarette is pretty simple. It's a 5-minute cigarette, right? It burns in about 5 minutes. The cherry at the end stays lit the whole time. It burns all the way down to about here, and then we get rid of it, right? And that's about a 5-minute break. So I would say that's an engineered 5-minute break, right? Because we have chemists and scientists dealing with cigarettes. They're making the best cigarette they can so that we are addicted to it and that we stick with it for 5 minutes. And then what do you benefit from the cigarette when you smoke it? What do you get out of it?
Another hour.
It relaxes me.
Well, I mean, what does it do for you? What does smoking a cigarette do for us? Why do we do it? So it relaxes you.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
It is to break.
And we use it as a break, right? Like a reason to stop working and actually go outside of our job and get a smoke, right? And sir, how about you? Why do you use it? What do you get out of it?
I don't know.
Do you get enjoyment out of it?
I
Satisfaction?
guess I do.
Well, okay. So in order to understand what we're getting out of it, we need to kind of understand what it is we're doing. So who here smokes one right in the morning when they get up? First thing. Okay, who here smokes one right before bed? Okay, who here smokes one in the car? Or before we get in the car? Or after we get out of the car? Who here smokes one while we're on the phone? Who here smokes one after some kind of an activity like a big social gathering? Who here smokes one during commercials? That's me, I was the commercial guy. So we have the places in our lives that we put it, right? What about beverages? Do we smoke while drinking a beverage of some kind? Like what? What kind of beverages?
Beer.
Okay, so alcohol, and what about coffee? Or soda? Like, when you're in the morning, does anybody drink a coffee with cigarettes in the morning?
Coffee and beer.
Yeah.
So we associate it mostly with coffee and beer, right? So these are very common associations. And so in order for us to understand sort of what it is we're going to do, we have to know what we associate it with, right? So we have to know why we're here. Why are we having a hard time quitting this thing called tobacco? Why is a tobacco product so difficult to quit? What are your reasons? Why is it so hard to quit?
I rely on it. It's like a drug.
So it's something you depend on. Okay, sir, how about you? Why is it so hard for you to quit?
I'm just hooked on it, I guess.
Hooked on. Okay, sir, how about you? Why is it so hard for you to quit?
4-time failure of this class.
Okay, so you feel like a failure because you can't quit?
No, I just, every time I get close, something big happens. You know?
Okay, so we have big events that happen in our lives, right? And what are those big events usually centered around some kind of stress?
Stress, crisis.
Stress or crisis, right? Okay, so these are pretty common reasons why people smoke, right? Would you say? And what about how we feel when we smoke the cigarette after we've quit and then we start back up? Do we feel like a failure? Do we feel like, man, I just can't beat this thing? This is like an albatross around my neck and I just can't get rid of it? Or do we feel that way more when we speak to our providers and we don't want to let them know, oh my gosh, I'm a smoker, you know, geez, I have to tell this guy, you know, who's going to ask me, because you know they do, right? Within like the first 10 minutes, the first thing they're asking is, hey, you a smoker? It's on our PHA, right? So when you tell them yes, how does that make you feel?
That I don't like.
You don't like it. Why? Why don't we like that? Why aren't we proud to be smokers?
Because everyone condemns so much on it.
They do. And do you know why we condemn so much on it?
Yeah, it's killing people.
Is it? Okay, what is killing people?
The agents inside the tobacco.
Okay, so let's kind of fast forward to that. What exactly are the stats with tobacco-related deaths? Does anybody know? Okay. Well, how about you? You're new. What kind of smoker are you? Are you a cigarette smoker or are you a chewer? You're a smoker, right?
Yeah.
What brand do you smoke?
Basic.
Okay, you're smoking
She's
basics.
menthol.
Okay, but you're smoking menthol. Does anybody know why a menthol cigarette exists? Why we have a menthol at all? Mentholatum is something you rub on your chest, right? It opens up your airways to make you breathe better, right? So when you smoke a cigarette and they put menthol in it, what happens to your lungs, do you think? It opens up your lungs,
Yeah.
right? And you get that tar down lower than you would normally. Normally when we smoke, it kind of goes surface level. After years and years and years of smoking, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. When you open up your lungs, though, and you get the bronchial tubes open up more, you get that down lower and deeper into your lungs. You know what I'm saying? So it's actually worse to smoke a menthol. Okay? Now, the good news for all you guys is that quitting smoking is not complicated. It's not hard. It's us that causes all the difficulties and the barriers that we have to get through. It's generally not external. It's usually internal. Do you know the difference between addiction and dependency? Give me an example of addiction. What do you think of when you think of addiction? I am addicted to cigarettes. What do we think about? Take cigarettes out of that sentence and put something else in there. What else are we addicted to as a society?
Drugs, I guess.
Okay, so what does addiction mean?
Your body needing that.
Okay?
You have to
Your body needing that.
Yeah.
You have to.
You have to have it.
Yeah.
What happens if you don't get something you're addicted to?
It can get sick or make you sick.
It can make you sick.
Insane.
It can make you crazy,
Yeah.
right? It can make you mad, frustrated, aggravated, difficult. Okay, will being addicted to cigarettes, will that make you kill your mom or dad for money to buy cigarettes?
No.
No.
Okay.
So that's a line that we don't cross with cigarettes, right?
Right.
Will it make you go beat somebody up for a pack of cigarettes?
No.
We don't cross that line either, do we?
Not lately.
Do we? Well, will we shoot a cop for a pack of cigarettes?
No.
So we don't cross that line when we think about cigarettes.
So that's more dependency. isn't
Oh man, yeah, ding ding ding, she's a winner. It's dependency. Why is it dependency, do you think? Why do we depend on and hooked on and use cigarettes for stress? How do we get here?
it? You use it as a clutch. You know, it's just like sometimes, even like at work, you know, if things are not going the way you want it to go and it's not running as smoothly as you'd like,
Yeah.
then yeah, it's like, okay, I'm stressing out here, let me go and have a cigarette.
We use it as a manipulative
Yeah.
to help us with our stress.
Yeah.
Agreed? Does everybody agree with that? So if we're having a stressed out day, man, I'm just pissed off today because somebody cut me off in the BX parking lot right on my way out. Okay? Right? How quickly do we pop a cigarette?
Very quickly.
Right, so we have a stressor which takes us from here to here pretty quick, right? Okay, you know, and all of these little things in between are what? Seconds, right? Generally, between the stress and the first time we light up. It's a second, maybe a minute long before we have that cigarette. Okay? Now, what is another term for something that causes you to want to do something right away? So you see it and then you do it. What's another term for that? You may think of another term?
Impulse.
Impulse, okay? Or trigger, right? When you walk into a movie theater, what's the first thing you smell?
Popcorn.
Right, and that impulse or trigger makes us want to do what?
Popcorn.
Even if we just ate. Agree?
Okay.
So we just ate at Panera Bread's, now we're walking to the rave, we're popping up there, we go up there to the counter, we pay our $200 for a ticket to the movies, we go over here and we pay $400 to this guy at the snack machine, because why?
Because it smells so good.
Because it smells good. And so what happens with that trigger? It overrides logical thought. Logic says, you just ate, you're good. Your stomach's only as big as your fist. Why are we stuffing more food in it? Right? But our brain overrides the impulse to not eat, to make us want to eat. And that's what happens with cigarettes. Okay, so we said already that we associate cigarettes with drinking beer. We associate cigarettes with drinking coffee. We associate cigarettes with multiple other things, okay? Sometimes we associate them with sex. Right after sex, we smoke a cigarette. Sometimes we associate them with fun. Right after a good time with our friends, we may go outside with our friends and smoke some cigarettes if we don't smoke in our house, or we may do it right there. We associate it with cards. We associate it with commercials during TV commercials, like if you're watching the Super Bowl and everything's awesome. Actually, we want to stay in for those commercials, don't we? Let me go over here. We're watching CSI, and the commercial's dumb because it's the same Viagra commercial you see all the time. So you pop out for a cigarette real quick, you pop back in, and generally within that 5 minutes, the commercials are over and the show started up again, right? So I would say that the tobacco industry sort of engineered their cigarettes to fit a specific crowd of people, wouldn't you say? Right? So how long have we been dealing with the cigarette industry, do you think? How long have we said that cigarettes are bad? Were cigarettes bad when you got them when you were a kid, sir? Did they say cigarettes are bad? I'm not going to smoke these. These are bad. Don't do them.
No,
or
no.
was it completely opposite of that? It was cool and something that the GIs did and something that the movie stars did and something that maybe your dad did or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's an environmental thing, right? That's a status thing. So do we associate cigarette smoking with status? Are you glamorous? Are you more glamorous if you smoke a Virginia Slims than you are if you smoke a Basic? Like, how would you feel if I just gave you a Virginia Slims and I said, okay, you're going to smoke this? Hoity-toity, man. Look at me with my little thin cigarette. I am in there. And you probably get a little pack, put it in a little silver, container, and I really think that sometimes we dress up our cigarettes. We really do. As people, we buy fancy lighters, Do you have a fancy lighter?
Is it big fancy?
No. No. But you know what I'm talking about, right? With the fancy lighters, like you can go into a smoke shop, right? And they have rows and rows and rows and rows and rows and rows and rows underneath the bong stuff, down here with the tobacco stuff, And that stuff right there tells me that we spend a lot of time and energy on our tobacco. You may not know this, but there's a whole art form associated with cigar labels. The world really is into it, We can trace cigarette smoking back as far as slavery, beginning with slavery, because we traded for what? Tobacco and liquor and rum. And we took those people as slaves and put them somewhere else for payment. And that's exactly how we did it. It really does go back that far. So when you think about cigarettes, and you think about, man, this is an industry that's been around for a long time and they know how to make money. Okay? So you're really fighting a bigger picture.